So this is the agenda we have for today's session. Firstly, we talk about a Fusion Enterprise structure. We know in EBS, multi-org structure. Okay, for the same multi-org structure, how the conversion taken place, that we'll discuss, and we'll compare with EBS. How we have anyway that we know very well, EBS multi-org structure. But anyway, just we'll compare and we'll try to understand how we have an enterprise structure in the Fusion. And the second point here is we'll talk about Fusion roles. Okay, in EBS, we know. So okay, let that we'll get into bit later. Let me take you very high level in the fusion roles in the sense in the Fusion applications, everything the user security can be managed by roles concept. We'll talk about it, and when we discuss about these roles, definitely we'll be comparing with EBS. Based on that comparison, we'll try to understand how it works. And Fusion users, what are the different type of users we can create in the Fusion applications. At the same time, we'll compare how we create users in EBS. That's how we'll be discussing. So these are the three objects, these are three concepts which we are going to discuss in today's session. Apart from this, if you have any questions on the same or relevant, you can ask me in the middle of the session. I mean, based on when we are focusing on specific point and all. Okay, let's do in that way. So to get into the session, so the first point is here, enterprise structure. Okay, Fusion enterprise structure. So when I talk about Fusion enterprise structure, before we get into this, we'll see the other side. I'll just give this. I'm taking here. This is the Fusion enterprise structure. 1 second. We'll talk about R12 multi-org before that. Okay, just first we'll just go through EBS multi-org structure. By referring that, we'll talk about Fusion enterprise structure. Okay, fine. So just give me 1 second. Hope I'm recording this session. Let me check. Yes, fine, good. So when we talk about multi-org in EBS, we have, I mean, on the top level we have business group, right? That's nothing but BZ. Sorry, just people are trying to join. I'm getting all these pop-ups. BZ. So under BZ, we have primary ledger concept. Right, PL. Under primary ledger, we have a legal entity. Under legal entity, we have operating unit. We have operating units, which we call as OUs. And under operating units, we have inventory organization. So IO. So we know these, on what base we decide and what is the benefit out of this if we are going to maintain in this way. We know like it's all about segregating and maintaining the data based on the process which we run and to maintain the more security and to separate the respective transactions in the system. Okay, so it's a security aspects. We are just maintaining entire organization information into system with the concept called as multi-org, where each and every level you will have a privileges. I mean, where you can map these levels with the respective applications. This we don't need to discuss much on that, but we know like it's a multi-org structure as per EBS. Now, when you talk about Fusion, here in EBS, the term what Oracle given is multi-org structure. The same, like instead of calling here as a multi-org in Fusion, simply we are calling as enterprise structure. Okay, enterprise structure. So here these all are organization units you can call, right? As per multi-org structure, these all you can call as organization units. Here also you can call as organization units, or you can call as enterprise units in Fusion environment. So on top level, as a part of enterprise structure and Fusion, on top level we have a enterprise. Okay, on top level we have enterprise. Under enterprise we have a concept called as divisions. Okay, under divisions you can find primary ledger. Under primary ledger, legal entity. Under legal entity, in EBS we have operating units. The same operating unit naming convention they change to business unit. Operating unit here we are calling as business unit, but BU. Under that you can find inventory organization. So we have some other concept also, distribution centers. That is not a primary, it's all about one inventory you can classify as a distribution center. Okay, we don't have to take as a that by highlighting as a part of enterprise structure. This is how you can see how the enterprise structure offered by Oracle to manage our data and the security aspects in the system environment. So enterprise. So in EBS, as a part of multi-org, we have a business group, but in enterprise, in Fusion, you don't see any business group concept as a part of enterprise structure in the Fusion. But the question is whether this enterprise is equal to business group or not. This is the point we have to understand. This enterprise is not equal to business group. We know in EBS we can create how many business groups we require. Say we are going to do the implementation for our client for 4 countries. In that case, you may go with the 4 different business groups. For each country, you may create one business group. Okay, you can create one business group for each country. But when you talk about Fusion, the Fusion, in one instance, you can have only one enterprise. Just remember this point. For one instance, you can have only one enterprise. The reason is one instance can be used by only one client. Okay, one client will be using the one instance. That is the reason the enterprise definition they given as instance level. If client is going to use that, instance for their multiple country business solutions, in that case, so we have a concept called as legislative data groups. Okay, legislative data groups where you can manage country specific HR and payroll related information. So you don't compare enterprise with a business group. So equal to business group concept, we have a legislative data group concept. Okay, so how many, if you are doing if your client is going to do the business in 10 countries, you may create 10 business groups in EBS. The same way in the Fusion, you will create only one enterprise. Under one enterprise, you will be creating the number of legislative data groups. Each legislative data group will be creating for specific country. So that is the point here we have to understand. Okay, so the second point here is division. When you talk about division, we can see the division as one of the segment in our chart of accounts. When you are doing the solution, you can have a division as a part of segment chart of account also. So but if company is running the business, operating the business in the multiple countries, in that case the division concept, apart from chart of account division, you can have a divisions concept as a part of enterprise structure. Okay, say your client is a client into multiple line of businesses. Say the client is into automobiles and software solutions, and say some textiles. Let me take a simple example. These are the 3 vertical of business client is doing. In that case, each vertical of business you can define in the system as a division. Okay, you can define as a division when generally client has a global operations. If client doesn't have any global operations, if client is going to do the business within the country, so the division you can have as a part of chart of accounts. You no need to take the division concept as a part of enterprise structure. And geography base also you can have a divisions, APAC, EMEA. This is how just you can, if client is running the business throughout the globe, definitely you can geography base also you can have a divisions, so that system will facilitate to, if you want to balance the transaction the division level you can do that. And if you want to track any, if you want to use the division concept for reporting purpose, in those aspects also division concept can be used. And when you talk about primary ledger, same as EBS, you know, we don't need to understand any other points on primary ledger. It remains same, the how it will behave and all. We know, like, to record any business transaction, the system primary ledger is required. Finally, all the data will pull into the primary ledger from any subledger application for reporting purpose. So that remains same. And legal entity also same. For entity registration information, we can maintain as a legal entity. When I talk about business unit, operating unit, you can see in the Fusion environment as a business unit. And I don't say there are some changes, but how the business units related functionality can be managed slightly changed. We'll discuss on that when you get into the actual session. And inventory organizations, yes, those also you can see same in the Fusion environment. But when you talk about item management and all that, there are some changes in the Fusion. So you cannot create items within the inventory application. For that we have a separate application called as product management. So we'll discuss when we are going to work on purchasing application. But just we are talking about enterprise structure. Okay, so these are the simple points to understand when you compare with EBS multi-org structure. These are the points you have to consider. Equal to EBS business group, in Fusion we have a concept called as legislative data groups. Okay, legislative data groups. Okay, legislative data groups, we call as LDG. This is equal to EBS BG. That's all. Divisions, we don't have any division concept in EBS of multi-org. As a part of multi-org structure, you cannot manage the divisions. Divisions always you can manage, you can have information as a part of your chart of accounts. This is apart from the multi-org what you see. Okay, and primary ledger, legal entity, these two are same as EBS. And operating unit you can find here as a naming convention business unit, and inventory remain as inventory organization. There is no point to understand here. However, we have in EBS and how it behaves, how that can be managed. Okay, everything remains same as EBS. So this is the simple, these are the few simple points to understand. So this is the same hierarchy. Okay, I'm not drawing it as a hierarchy and all, but this is what you have to understand. Top level will have enterprise. Under enterprise we have a divisions. Under divisions, primary ledger. Under primary ledger, legal entity. Under legal entity, business unit. Under business unit we have a inventory organization. So this is the enterprise structure in the Fusion. And out of all these, division is optional, it's not a mandatory. Okay, so this is what we have in the Fusion application. Any questions on this, please?
Yes, Lakshman, this is Arun. I have a question. How is division in the enterprise structure different from a division in the chart of account structure?
Okay.
Because if I have a segment...
One second, Arun, I got your question. Yeah, I got your question. So meantime, I answer, I request you to mute. Okay, fine, thank you. So simple point. Say I'm operating the business. Okay, I'm operating the business in multiple countries. Say I'm operating the business in 3 countries. I have a some consulting business in India and US. I have something like automobiles, and UAE I have some trading business. I'm operating the business in 3 countries. If I'm going to use the concept called as global chart of accounts, yes, I can have divisions as a part of chart of accounts. But if I'm not going to have a global chart of account, still I have a just a separate chart of accounts for each and every country. In that case, still I want to just have a, in that each country, like I may take each business as one division, or else in one country whatever the business we do, you may segregate that business process what we are doing in 2 or 3 divisions. In those scenarios, Okay, you may have multiple legal entities in those specific countries, and based on that, you may do the different nature of businesses. So on that base, if you want to, okay, entire complete enterprise level, if you want to track your business transaction division level, you can take enterprise division as a part of enterprise structure. Okay, if you have in this scenario, if you have a global chart of accounts, yes, division you can take as a part of chart of accounts. If you don't have a global chart of accounts, still if you want to track the business division level where you are going to have one or more than one divisions in each country, definitely you should have a division concept at enterprise level. That's a flexibility Oracle given. Any question on this, please?
Lakshman, I have two questions.
Please.
One is related to enterprise. Sorry, this is Datta. Okay. One is enterprise. What is enterprise? How we can use this in
Fine.
Fusion?
Fine.
Second thing is
No.
second thing is LDG, Legislative Data Group. Is it part of the Fusion enterprise structure or it is separate from that?
Okay, I'll talk on this too.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Fine. The first question. So enterprise. Enterprise is nothing but it refers the group company. It refers that group company. So here what happens is the HR and payroll related default information you can set at enterprise level. But if you set at enterprise level, that is not going to refer specific country. The implementation what you are doing for your client, that may be for multiple countries. So if you are going to set enterprise, that should get applicable for which country or related business process or controls, whatever you are going to implement. You can say in this enterprise level you can set a certain controls and defaults, okay, which will impact on your HR and payroll operations. You may set employee number generation, how employee number need to be generated, whether employee is going to employee related HR related process, or whether they are going with a 2-tier or 3-tier, 4-tier employment models. So every complete information, HR and payroll and other modules related few controls also we have in the enterprise level. So it's all about definition, company, group company definition, and very high level security, high level controls and defaults you can set at enterprise level. So just by default we will be setting this, but in the system you no need to create. By default, whenever you get a fresh environment from Oracle, so there will be default enterprise, how you see default BZ in the EBS environment, but it's totally different. Just I'm comparing, but BZ is different, enterprise is different. So you can legislative data group is equal to business group. Okay, you know, in EBS when you are creating the business group, within the business group definition we have a business group info. There you can go on to set up what exactly which flex fields such as you want to use, how the employee number generation is required, and other information. The BZ belongs to which country, the legislative code, all the information will be providing. In the similar fashion, so whatever the information you set as default enterprise level, that will get defaulted to each legislative data group. But the legislative data group always refers specific country. So country relevant controls you can override at legislative data group. Ultimately, from legislative data group controls only will get enforced in the system on the HR and payroll business processes. Okay, Datta, if you have any question or any further clarification, please.
Just related to second question, is it part of our Fusion enterprise structure or is it separate from the?
So when you look at Fusion enterprise structure, okay, when you look at Fusion enterprise structure, you no need to discuss about legislative data group. Okay, that is there, but inside of enterprise structure, which is connected, where enterprise structure will be connected to the legislative data group, you no need to include it as a part of enterprise structure, but it is a part of solution. When you say enterprise, the enterprise functionality will be working in the system based on legislative data group only. If you have enterprise, that is not enough. You should have a legislative data group. So that is a concept, but as a part of enterprise structure, you no need to refer this. You no need to highlight this. Completely will be taken care by HCM. HR consultant will look into this, how they can manage as per their HR operations and payroll operations. So that is the reason you no need to take. But why I'm including here, just to make you understand equal to business group what we have as a part of what we have in Fusion applications. I'm not saying it's a part of enterprise structure. Just for information, I'm including. Okay, if you want to understand what is the enterprise structure, this is what we have to understand. That's all. Okay.
Lakshman.
Yep.
Thank you, Lakshman.
Thanks. Any other questions?
This is Ramesh.
So, Lakshman, one quick question. This is Arun. The
Yeah.
divisions, is it the primary ledger under the division, or how does it relate to the primary ledger, legal entity, and business unit?
Yeah, definitely. See, if I say like I have 3 different businesses, okay, and say I have in 3 different countries, in that case, definitely like the primary ledger will be under divisions only. Each country you may take as a division, or else take example, APAC region I am going to take as a division. The APAC we have multiple countries. That can be one division, but for each country minimum will have one primary ledger. So that is a simple example you can take.
Okay, sorry, one last question. The legislative data group that you talked about, does it have a default business group like it used to have in R12?
Yeah, there we have to map with the business group, legislative data group. You should map with the LE. There is a mapping. When you are creating the legislative data group, you have to specify the legislative data group for which country, and within one country you may have multiple LEs also depending on your business, and you have to map the legislative data group for which LE also. The mapping is there. Anyway, in our system will be creating, even when we are working on financials also, when we are creating the user point of view, that is a mandatory setup. We'll do it. We'll understand in our sessions.
Oh, but we can still have multiple legislative data group in a country itself.
Yes,
Is that possible?
definitely, right? Definitely, for each LE, one legislative data group need to be maintained.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, thanks. Because why for each?
Lakshman, this is Ramesh.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Lakshman, this is Ramesh. Lakshman, I'm just to understand for myself. For example, I'm just taking an example. My client is TCS, and TCS is working with 3 different countries: USA, India, and UK. And every country have their different kind of business. For example, in USA, having software, and India, there are 3 different business: software, motor, and finance.
Yeah.
So, how can I put my structure according to the client requirement? Should I consider the USA or the as a division, or the business as a division?
No, that's what.
Can I go for?
That's it. 2 options. Normally, division concept can be used based on the vertical of business. You can go with the division concept, or based on the geography, you can go with the division concept. Primarily, these 2 will be using as a parameters for a division. Apart from this, something may force the client to take to adapt this division concept. Okay, that's how it works. We cannot say this is exactly. Just I given simple example. I have a client. Client is operating the business in 10 countries. Okay, those 10 countries, say it falls into 3 different zones. The zone client can take as a one division, so 3 different divisions, or else out of these 10 countries, my client is doing 20 different businesses. Each business the client may take as a separate division. That totally depends how they want to manage, report, and see their the progress of the business, etc. Okay, the primary parameters I'm referring generally geography based, they can have a divisions. The second point is the entities, I mean nature, business, vertical of businesses, they can take as other parameters. Apart from this, there can be something else which makes client to show interest to go with the division concept.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Lakshman, while doing an implementation, while doing a setup during this session, do you think can we take any live example just for the background?
So that is not required. See, whatever the implementations I have seen and whatever I hear in the market, I know where you can see the division concept somebody using, because that is for a very big clients for global, who has a global presence across the countries. Okay, in that case, if required, they'll be taking. Otherwise, they'll go with the normal solution if they are using the common chart of accounts. they can have a division concept within the chart of accounts. Otherwise, if they're not going with a common chart of accounts, in that case, if generally it's not required to have a division in the enterprise also, with the wide scope, Oracle given that division concept. We are just, I'll show you if you want to see how to create the division. Okay, but one point you try to understand here, even if you create division when you're recording the transaction, there is no option where you can go and select a division. This transaction belongs to which division, and only what system will do is automatically will do the mapping with the legal entity. So when you record the transaction with a particular BU, means I mean to say operating unit, that will be always BU is tagged with a legal entity. The legal entity always will be tagged with the division. That's how system will do internal tracking. Externally, we are not going to select, oh, I am going to record this business transaction for this division. That externally, you no need to do anything. That's a completely internal process. If you create division, just leave it. Just you will be able to generate the reports. Apart from that, as a part of transaction, you are not going to play with the division. That's all. So that's what here we have to understand. If you want to see how to create, I'll show you that. That's not a big task. But even if you are going to include, okay, we are not going to do some division level reporting to understand and everything. We'll go with some general chart of accounts, and we'll have enterprise, we'll have a primary ledger, legal entity. That's a normal practice you can see everywhere with this Fusion. Even the enterprise structure, they given division, just you don't see that that much usage in some client is using. Okay, so that's how we have. But if you want to see, I'll show you that how to define. We'll touch base on that. Okay, fine. Any other questions? Any other questions on this concept? Hope you are clear on enterprise structure when you compare with our release 12 multi-org structure. Any questions you have, please?
Lakshman, one quick one. You talked about very briefly about the distribution center. Can you explain once more?
Okay, fine. See, distribution center is a concept which will be engaging in the distribution activities of inventory related items. When you talk about sales, okay, I have a business unit. I mean to say like operating unit. As per EBS operating unit in Fusion, we are calling as business unit. I have a business unit and I have a 10 inventory organizations. If I'm involving the sales, so I don't want to keep inventory organization as a direct point for distribution and all. I want to put some other separate point as a distribution center, where that distribution center will involve in all the distribution activities for the respective products what they are selling in the market. But it's all about when you're creating inventory, you can specify that is going to behave as a distribution center. So that the inventory transaction process that can be tracked, that has to be the inventory transaction, the sales activity need to be executed through which distribution center, just which will be useful for just tracking and reporting purpose. Okay, but that you no need to take as a part of enterprise structure. This is the enterprise structure what Oracle is the finalized, and you can see as a part of documentation also. Just you will be creating a same as inventory, but you will be marking as that is the division. That's all. That's how we have. Okay. We no need to focus on that. That's not a key point. Just I addressed somewhere if you may hear, and to give you the information, that is not that key point to focus on that. To just share that point, just I referred it. Okay, you may not focus on that, not required. So this is the exact enterprise structure to understand. Yeah. Any other question you have on this?
Hi, Lakshman, this is Nagi.
Yeah.
Here, legal entities are having the separate responsibility or within the module?
Same as ABS.
Okay.
Yeah, same. Yep. Fine. Any other questions? Fine. Seems to no questions. If no question, we can just jump into next topic called as Fusion roles. Okay, Fusion roles. It's a basically you can call as security, fusion security. The fusion security can be managed with a roles concept. The very standard term which we use is role based access control. We call as RBAC. Okay, RBAC means role based access control. Before we get into this role based access control in Fusion, let's talk about our EBS. Okay, EBS. When I talk about EBS, let me take, we have a concept called as menu, right? In EBS we have a concept called as menu, and that menu will have a submenu, and within the submenu we will have a functions, right? This I am referring as per EBS. Okay, as per EBS.
Sorry, Lakshman,
Please.
but in EBS you also have the RBAC, right?
RBAC we have.
RBAC is there in EBS.
Yes, that is there. That is very limited function. Wherever you have a web application, okay, there you can enable RBAC. That's very limited, but mostly everything will be managed by menus concept. Say payables, receivables. If I'm working on payables and receivables, can you say I can go with RBAC? No, right? For very limited, that to web applications only, that provision we have. That's what I'm referring to.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, fine. So in EBS, basically, we just work on application and will get access privileges for specific functions or application with the concept called as menu and submenu and functions. As we know, we'll have a menu. Menu consists of submenus. Within the submenu, you may have other submenus, or directly you can have a functions. And if you want to say, for example, we have menu for payables, and you want to access to payable application, in that case what we have to do is we have to create the responsibility for payables. Within that you have to include the payables menu, or if you need access to very specific functions related to payables, you may go with the submenu. If that is not available as per your business, user requirement, you may create your custom menu, right? Custom menu you can create. That's how we'll be doing. By default, as a seeded information, will have a menu and submenu and functions. If you want to have access to entire menu or specific submenu or selected functions, what we have to do is we have to create responsibility, right? These we are well aware in EBS, right? So these terms we know very well. Menu we have, within the menu we'll have a submenu. Submenu will consist of functions. To access entire menu or submenu or functions, okay, specific functions, you should have a concept called as responsibility. When you say responsibility, here I am taking the meaning. It consists of menu. It can be submenu or functions also. And again, another important point here is, okay, I have a responsibility. Before I go on to use that responsibility, it is a mandatory I have to assign primary ledger. If I talk about payables, responsibility, we should assign our primary ledger as well as operating unit. If we don't assign primary ledger and operating unit to payables responsibility, okay, there is no meaning. You cannot use it. That means that responsibility doesn't have any access to specific data. Here data means I'm referring primary ledger and operating unit data. So that means your menu means your simple understanding. Okay, sorry, responsibility means it consists of, it will have access to specific menu, and it will give the grants to us to connect to particular primary ledger to record the transactions. Again, those transactions will relate to particular OU. So this is the meaning of responsibility we have to take. If I take example of GL responsibility, I no need to talk about operating unit. GL responsibility will have menu. Within the menu, we'll have a primary ledger also, because we know will be as a mandatory will be assigning the primary ledger to GL responsibility. We never assign operating net to GL responsibility. Reason, as per multi-org structure, okay, the GL will be standing at primary ledger level mapping, right? It's not, GL cannot be operated at OU level, right? So we know these points. That is the reason, that's how it is managed. Okay, just I'm referring here to keep it simple. AP responsibility. Now if you look at Fusion security, it's very simple. If you are clear on these points, now you are just simply you are going to understand those points. Equal to, we have a concept called as roles. Okay, in Fusion we have a concept called as roles. So those roles are, let me list out. In Fusion we have a roles, role types in Fusion applications. So it's, I'm not going to refer for financials. These are role types we have. It's generic. We have basically 4 type of roles. Those are job roles, duty roles. Third one is abstract roles. Fourth one is say data roles. There are 4 type of roles we have. Now let's go and compare with our EBS menu, submenu, functions and responsibility concept. It's very simple. In EBS what we have? Menu. Menu consists of submenu and functions. Equal to menu, in Fusion we have a concept called as job roles. It's very simple. EBS we have menu, equal to that in Fusion we have job roles. In EBS we have submenu concept, equal to submenu, in Fusion we have a duty role. Here we have a function in EBS. Here also we can call as function or privileges. Okay, no change. Here you can call as privileges, or same as a function, but naming convention you can see as privileges. Done. And other one is, other component here is, say just for example we have AP responsibility. So that means we'll have a responsibility concept in EBS, but we don't have any concept called as responsibility in the Fusion. Equal to responsibility concept, in Fusion. Okay, we have a, so I mean in EBS responsibility we have equal to EBS responsibility concept, we have concept called as data role. So in EBS what we assign to user? Responsibility, right? Responsibility will assign to user. Equal to responsibility we have a data role concept in Fusion. That means data role will assign to user in Fusion application. Okay, a data role will assign to user. So this is how it works. Just based on these 3 points, if you have any question you can ask me, or else we'll go ahead and we'll discuss on the same few more points. Any questions on this? Hope it is very simple understanding. Anyway, just we're open for any discussion. Just please.
Lakshman, can you give an example of a job role?
I'll take you through
and
that.
How it relates to the menu submenu.
See, just that's what I'm just directly I'm comparing. If you just in payables, what is the menu we have? I take an example here, payables. In EBS for payables, we have a menu name called as AP Navigate GUI 12, right? AP Navigate GUI 12. This is the menu we have. Similar way, we have a job role. The job role in Fusion, one of the job role name is Payables Manager. We know menu name. For AP, we have AP Navigate GUI 12. For receivables, okay, AR Navigate GUI. Okay, fine. For GL, we have GL Super User. These are the menu names we have. In the same way, in Fusion, we have a job roles. The example for job role is Payables Manager. I'll take here. This is example for job role. One of the example, just I'll take better right here. Payables manager is one of the job. Okay. Another point here is, we know, like, we don't need to take example for menu, submenu and functions. We know very well. And when I talk about duty role, submenu equal to submenu. What are the submenus we have for payables in EBS? We have submenus for invoices, payments, for setups, and many other aspects we have. Here I can take duty role. Okay, one of the duty role is, okay, invoice entry. Invoice entry I'll take. This is equal to submenu. Okay, here I'll say function name can be creating invoice or importing invoices. So that's it. That's a generic one. And here data role example is, say, I want to allow the payables manager to work for specific business unit. In that case, my data role would be payables manager. I want to allow the payables manager job role for which business unit? I'll say ABC US business unit. Okay, so this is the point here you have to understand. This is one of the, here see, AP responsibility you have. For AP responsibility, you are allowing that AP responsibility, okay, from that AP responsibility you will be working for specific operating unit. In the same way, equal to responsibility you have data role. That means we have a job role. This is a job role, right? Up to here, just payables manager means job role. Here already we discussed. Job role we have. If you have just job role, what you can do with that? Nothing. The job role should have access to data. In the same way, in EBS also you have a just AP responsibility, just you created. You are not connecting that responsibility with any primary ledger and operating it. What is the use? No use. That means you are connecting that responsibility for specific data. Here data means you are connecting the specific primary ledger and operating it. In the same way, in Fusion, the job roles we have, the job roles will be connected with particular business unit. In Fusion, you don't need to connect with the primary ledgers. That routing process is different. That we'll discuss anyway. Just only we have to understand these points. So is it clear, or you need some more clarification?
Some more clarification. Sorry, Lakshman.
No problem. See,
just wanted to know.
We can discuss. No issues and all. You can just ask me.
Okay. I just wanted.
Yep.
Correct. Just wanted to know that there are. If we talk about roles, job roles, there are 3 seeded job roles in AP. You're talking about AP. There are 3 seeded job roles, right?
Yep.
But it's very difficult to find what exactly those 3 job roles, how they differ.
Anand, 1 second.
Can you explain?
I'll show you how to see. See, I'll say I have 10 menus for my payables, accounts payables. Okay. Say I did the implementation. I created 10 custom roles, or else Oracle given few seeded menus. So let's talk about EBS. I'm referring EBS. So in EBS you have say 5 menus for accounts payables. How to go and find which menu will give access to what? How to find it? This is my question. How to find in EBS? I don't know who is asking this. Who asked the question?
Yeah, this is Arun. No, you have to go to the group. I think the data group, and there you can go to the menu and you can figure out from there, right? That's
it. So when we want to know in which menu what privileges, what access we are giving to the user through response, if you want to know, you have to go to sysadmin. There we have a function called as menu. You can query that menu, then it will open and you can go and see. In the same way, in the Fusion also we have security console concept. Through security console, you can go and you can select any one of the role. What we have, the role will give the privileges to what. If you want to understand, yes, we have option. I'll show you that. I will be covering everything. Even I'll be showing how to create the custom roles. We'll cover everything. You don't have to worry about it. How to see means there is an option. Security console, from there we can see. But now within this discussion we cannot work on it. That is a system related task. When once we start working on the system, once we reach that concept, we'll work on it. Arun, is it fine? Hello?
Yeah, thank you, Lakshman. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll be working on that, no doubt. Fine. Any other questions on this concept? So very simple here. So we have four type of roles primarily. Job role. Our fusion job role is equal to EBS menu. Duty role is equal to submenu. Data role is equal to responsibility. In EBS, we'll assign the responsibility to user. In the same way, in the fusion, we'll assign the data role to the user. Okay, why they are given the name as a data role? We'll have a specific role. Role name is, of course, this is a job role, but just we are calling as a role. Payables manager. This manager can have access to which data? Which data? This business unit related data access. That is the reason we are calling as data role. Okay. Another point, we have one more role called as abstract role. Okay. We have one more I can hear some noise from someone, please. I think, yeah, thank you. Fine. We have one more concept called as abstract role. What exactly this abstract role? It's a very generic role. So when we are working on any application, okay, when we are working for when we are accessing any application, we have one generic role need to be assigned. That is nothing but abstract role. The abstract role, the best example is employee. Okay, abstract role, employee, and it's more related to HCM, human capital management, and say line manager, HRMS related. Okay, when you say employee, that employee can be contract employee, okay, a contingent worker, employee or contingent worker, I mean to say contract employee. So there are some advantages if you go with abstract role. Okay, what is the benefit and all that we'll be discussing, but just for now, simple point is abstract role is nothing but employee. Okay, there is a role called as employee, that only we call as abstract role, which need to be used commonly. When I talk about payables roles, we'll assign to the payables related user, receivables roles to receivables user, asset roles to asset user. But employee is the role which commonly used for every employee who is accessing to the system, because it will give some privileges where system will identify this user is not just user, this user is employee. We'll work on it. There is one point which we should understand when we are working on financial applications also, even it's more related to HCM. There is some connectivity. We'll talk on that. For now, simple point you can understand. Abstract role is common role. The best example for employee role, abstract role is employee or contingent worker or line manager. This you can take. So if you have your own user, if you don't assign abstract role, means employee role to that user, you cannot get certain privileges. What privileges you cannot get, we'll discuss on that. Okay, now we don't need to focus on that much to get more confusion. So just take that simple point and remember, I'll show you in the system. Then that will be very much clear for everyone. So that's how it works. So here simple point is we have four type of roles: job roles, duty roles, and abstract roles, and data roles. And when we talk about job roles are seeded. Job roles are delivered by Oracle. Okay, and duty roles also we have as a seeded in the system. You don't need to create it. Abstract roles are also seeded. That means these three roles are delivered by Oracle, predefined. Along with the product you can get everything, but as per your requirement you can create your own custom roles. It can be job or duty or abstract, you can create. Even in EBS also we have a seeded menus for payables, receivables, assets, cash management, general ledger, for all the application we have. But based on our requirement, definitely we have to create custom menus. The same possibility also we have here, since we are calling it as roles. Say we can create the custom roles as per the business requirement. Then what about the data role? What is the meaning of data role? Here we discussed. When you say data role, okay, when you say data role, we are taking the payables manager. Here as per our example, payables manager is job role. That means job role. Okay, data role means as a part of data role we have a job role. Along with that, what we have? ABC US business unit. That means the data role means the combination of job role. If this data role is related to GL, then just primary ledger. That's it. The data role means job role plus primary ledger. This example works when you talk about GL, the job role may be GL related job role. If job role is GL related job role, definitely you will be mapping this job role with only primary ledger. So this combination only you can call as data role. That means this GL job role will have a access to primary ledger, specific primary ledger data. And if you take job role as a AP, in case of AP, so we have to connect with the primary ledger and BU also, business unit, nothing but operating unit. This combination we call as data role. The AP job role should have access to primary ledger and business unit, so that we call as data roles. Just remember, data roles are created by system automatically. When system will create the data role, depending on, if you talk about GL related data roles, the moment you complete the primary ledger creation, system will create the data role automatically. It's a simple point. I'll say I have a for, okay, let me take with the payables example. It's very easy, so I can include this view. I'll take this example. Okay, so when you say like BU in Fusion case, what happens is you no need to separately map. In EBS, primary ledger and operating unit separately will be assigned to responsibility. Okay, we have separate profile options. But in the Fusion, directly you can map primary ledger to BU. Just BU you can map with the data role. So the moment I create, say for example, I have one job role. I have one job role called as payables manager. I created one business unit called as ABC US business unit. Now what system will do is automatically, what job role we have? Payables manager. For payables manager job role, automatically system will map ABC US business unit. It will map this combination only, job role plus the business unit. This combination only we call as data role. When system will create it, the moment you complete the business unit creation, BU definition, then automatically what are the job roles we have which are specific to BUs? What are the menus we have specific to OUs in EBS? Payables menu, receivables menu, purchasing menus, and order management menu, project costing menu, project billing menu, not cash management related menu or FA related menu or GL menu. These are not specific to OUs. There are specific menus, I mean to say, based on which applications will work at operating level, that all the application menus we can treat as, okay, OU specific menus in EBS. In the same way, Fusion also, so we have all OU specific, BU specific job roles. For all those job roles, automatically system will assign your business unit. That combination only we call as data role. Data roles are created by system automatically. We don't need to create. Okay, out of these 4 roles, job roles are delivered by Oracle, duty roles and abstract role. All these you can find in the system as a serial, but you don't find any data roles until unless you create your own primary ledger. If you create your primary ledger against GL related job roles, system will create the data roles. If you create business unit, automatically system will create all BU specific data roles in the system for subledger applications, which subledgers will work at BU level. So this is the point here we have to understand. And anyway, the proof we are going to see in the system. Okay, it's not like just we are discussing and we are going to freeze this. Okay, just it's like introduction to understand at least how many type of rules we have. What is the basic meaning of this? That's what we are trying to understand. If you have any questions on this, please.
Lakshman, this is Arun. What is when you create a custom role, what type of role is that? Is it a data role?
I don't want to take you into that where it will become a bit confusion. I can understand, Arun. It seems to you have some basic understanding about it. That's the reason you are just even previous question also I can understand. You are talking about we have 3 roles, 4 roles, right? So that means you have some information. So based on that, if I am getting into that actual discussion, it will be a bit confusion for others. I'll show you very detailed level. Anyway, now I am not running the session based on the custom roles. So Okay, but to give the quick answer for your question, you can create custom job roles, custom duty roles, custom data roles, or custom abstract roles also. All customs you can create.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, fine. Any other questions on this to understand these points, what we are trying to understand now? Any sort of question, just now we can have good discussion here. And nothing wrong if somebody is asking repeatedly the questions. Okay, so there's no that kind of concerns. We can just, it's all about understanding this concept. Few people may not ask questions, but the what are the questions asked by others, that will be definitely useful for others also. Okay, any questions on this to understand? Job role, duty role, abstract role, data role. Out of these four, three are seeded. This system will create based on your primary ledger or any ledger. It can be reporting or secondary ledger, any ledger. Once you create ledger, GL related data roles it will create. Once you complete the definition of BU, it will create BU specific data roles. If you go into this SCM related, the moment you create inventory related data roles also it will create. That's how it works. Okay, any questions on this, please?
Hi, Lakshman.
Please. Yeah.
Lakshman, while we are assigning data roles, like suppose I am using accounts payable.
Okay, you take this example. You take this example. I have a data role called as payables manager ABC US business unit. Say you are going to assign this data role to user, right? You take this example and go ahead.
Yes, in this case, like suppose if we assume we have two business units,
okay,
then how the system will assign? Like,
this is how system will create. Two data roles it will create. Business unit wise data roles will be created.
Okay, how many business units we will have?
Those
system
many.
Will create those many. Okay.
Yes. And EBS we have MOAC, right? MOAC where you can access multiple operating units from single responsibility. Here we don't have an operating unit concept. We have a data role. In that case, say you have a 10 BUs here, or I'll say 3 BUs we have. Say BU1 and BU2 and BU3. One user need access to 3 BUs. Anyway, the moment you create the BU1, it will create one data role called as payables manager BU1. When you create BU2, payables manager BU2. When you create BU3, payables manager BU3. That means how many data roles? 3 data roles. 3 data roles we have to assign to one user. 3 data roles we have to assign to one user. So instead of assigning the 3 data roles to one user, you can group these 3 BUs by using the security profile concept. This is similar to EBS. And you can create the custom data role against a specific job role. And I'll create by using this, I'll create one security profile called as 3 BUs access. 3 BU access. And I'll create one data role called as custom data role payables manager 3 BU access. Now this is only one data role. If I assign this one data role to my user can have access to these 3 BUs which are defined, which are grouped by using the security profile. That's all. Okay, this is how it works. We'll go through all these. We'll be doing in our classes.
Thank you, Lakshman.
Yeah, thanks.
But Lakshman, can you not directly add this BU1, BU2, BU3 to the payables manager role?
Yeah.
Custom role?
Definitely. See, okay. The BU1, BU2, BU3, because when you are creating see, the 3 you can assign. See, the simple difference also I'll tell you here. I think you forgot to unmute. I can hear some noise. Yeah, thank you. So, in EBS, say you have 3 operating units. One user need access to 3 operating units. In that case, if you assign 3, you have to assign 3 responsibilities separately. In that case, switching is a big challenge, right? one to other responsibility user has to switch. To avoid that, what we are doing, we are grouping and we are assigning to one responsibility, so that from the same responsibility user can have access to 3 BUs. But in the Fusion system, if you have 3 BUs, system will create the 3 data roles. The 3 data roles you can assign to one user. In that case, switching is not required, because between the roles user no need to switch. Since 3 roles are assigned from the same environment, from LOV user can see these 3. But only why we are doing why we are creating security profile, to avoid the process of assigning the 3 data roles to user, and finally to assign one data role to the user. That is the point. When we are creating the custom role, can we assign this? Can we select these 3? No, directly you cannot select 3. There will be option to select only one. That is the reason one or multiple we are grouping. One or multiple we are grouping into security profile. That's how we'll assign. I'll ask you a simple question. So when you talk about security profile MOSC concept in EBS, so when you are implementing, you have only one profile option, where you can assign your security profile to your responsibility, right? MO security
Right.
profile, that is the
Yeah.
one you will be using. You don't have multiple MO security profile option to map multiple operating nets to one responsibility. That is the reason we are grouping. Otherwise, there also we don't group. I'll go and select MO security profile multiple times. I'll be mapping all that. That's how the system should support. But the functionality wise, it doesn't work. Only one you can have. That is the reason we grouped and we assigned. Here also same logic we are going to follow. Okay, the logic remains same how it works.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Any other questions?
Hi Lakshman, Kuldeep here.
Please.
So can you assign these views at responsible level or site level, like we have EBS concept?
Okay, good. When you talk about these assignments, okay, thank you. When you talk about the assignment here, when you are creating your enterprise structure, as a mandatory, there is no one profile option also you have to use. There is no profile option concept. You have drastically reduce the usage of profile options. Okay, drastically reduce the usage of profile option. Whatever we define, all will assign at user level only. Okay, what are the components we are discussing? All will assign at user level. There are no multiple other levels, but we have some specific different profile options which we call as system administration profile options. Those you can set at site or user level. That's totally different. User level or site level you can set, but whatever we are talking about enterprise structure, enterprise related primary ledgers or business units or inventory organizations, whatever we are discussing, all you have to set. It's not like setting, all we have to assign at user level. That's how it works. Okay, for these components there is no concept of setting at user or some other levels. You'll see that once you get into the application, it will be more clear. Still, if you have any questions, definitely we'll talk on that. We'll make it more clear on that. Okay, but this is a point in this level to discuss. No profile option you have to use to complete your complete enterprise definition. To start with the transaction process, no profile option you have to set. You are going to work on some sequencing, yes, for that you have to set the profile. You want to set default business unit, yes, you have to set the profile option. Basically, in that case, user level will be setting that. And in case of Fusion, EBS will be setting a responsibility. Here, no responsibility. What you do at responsible level, here everything will do at user level only. Site level is not applicable for many of the components. We'll see that detail level. Any other question? Any questions on this? Okay, seems to no questions. Then we're done with the enterprise structure and RBAC, role-based access control. And of course, in the further sessions, we'll be discussing on this more and more. The same we'll be implementing, and with different examples. So it will be just it will be more clear for everyone. And you can ask me if in this stage if you have any confusion, if I'm just giving some confusion to you by explaining, or if you need some clarity on any aspect of understanding, please let me know. We can discuss, then we can jump into next concept. Any questions here? Fine, seems to no questions. The next concept for today is Fusion users. Okay, users. So when I talk about users in Fusion applications, okay, just before that, let's talk about our EBS. EBS. In case of EBS, from where we can create the users. Application name is System Administrator, right? Okay. So what is the process? We'll create user and will assign employee. We don't need to discuss, we have to create employee also, not required. We'll assign employee to user. Of course, we know later what we'll do. We'll assign the responsibility to user, but that is not our focus now. Just only the point is user creation, user management. So in EBS, we have an application called as System Administrator. By using the System Administrator responsibility or application, we can create the user, and that user we have to map with a particular employee. That's how it works. But in Fusion, when I talk about Fusion, where we can create the user. To create the user, we have an application called as Oracle Identity Manager, OIM. For the same, the other name is IDM you can call, means Oracle Identity Manager. The identity, first two letters we are taking ID, the manager M, IDM. Okay. So both are same, just you can call as OM or IDM. In EBS, we can create the user from System Administrator, but Fusion, okay, you can create the user from IDM. Fine. So here, straight away you can go and create the user. But in Fusion, the users what we create in the Fusion applications are classified into two types. That means we have two type of users. Fusion we have two type of users, and in case of EBS, generally there is no such kind of classification to address this user is so and so, that user is so and so. Nothing. Just will create a user, will assign the employee. And let me give you one more point here before I talk about it. So we have two type of users. Yes, that is true. We have two options to create the users. One is IDM, other one is HCM. HCM stands for Human Capital Management. Okay. In case of EBS, we create a user from just System Administrator, but in Fusion, you can create the user from IDM or HCM. So from where you are creating, based on that, those users definition is classified into two types. So basically, the user types you can call as implementation user and employee user. So from where we can create the implementation user, the user which you create from IDM, that user only you can call as implementation user. That means where you create in IDM or OM, anything you can take. So implementation user can be created from IDM application. Employee user you can create from HCM. Okay, so very simple points here. Okay, the very simple point is from two different applications we can create the users. Those are IDM and HCM. The user which you create from IDM, that we call as implementation user, and whatever the user you create from HCM, that is employee user. Okay. In EBS, we'll create the user and we'll assign the employee to user. If you take this reference point, the whatever the user you create from IDM, to that user you cannot assign employee. Okay, the user which you create from IDM, to that IDM user, let's call it as IDM user. Generally, whatever the user you create from IDM, we call as implementation user. Implementation purpose, you'll create the users, not for business purpose. Okay, so IDM user, whatever the user you create from IDM, okay, to that user you cannot assign the employee. But can you assign the employee to user which you create from HCM? You no need to assign. How it works? In HCM, if you are going to create the user called as employee, that is nothing but while you are creating the employee, you will create the user for that employee. That process only we call as employee user. That means through HCM, you can complete 2 tasks at a time. Employee creation, and for the same employee, system user creation, application user creation. These 2 activities you can perform when you create user from HCM. Okay, what is the difference? What is the purpose we use it? Basically, these IDM, from IDM we create the users for only at the time of implementation purpose. For consultant, the consultants who are going to work on the application for system configuration and for complete implementation process. For consultants, we can create from IDM. Reason, the consultants are not part of organization as employees. That is the reason you no need to keep any, you no need to do mapping. This user, nothing but so and so employee. That mapping you no need to build. That is the reason. So when you are creating the users, when you need users to do the implementation, always will create those users from IDM. That users only, whatever the users you create directly in IDM or Identity Manager or Oracle Identity Manager, you call those users as employee users, sorry, implementation users. Implementation user never have reference of employee. There won't be any employee association. When you talk about HCM, the people who are working in the organization means the employees working in the client organization. Okay, for those employees only will create the users from HCM. That means from employee record definition only you can create the user. That's how it works. And in terms of system behavior, what is the difference between these two? In terms of system behavior, what we can do. So there are certain differences, but we have to focus on our finance related differences only. Okay, if you are going to work on the system as IDM user, how it behaves. If you are going to work on HCM user and our finance system, how it behaves. These simple points you have to understand. It's very simple. With IDM user, you can do everything except supplier side creation. Just remember this point. With IDM user, you can do everything. You will get full privileges, but you cannot create the supplier side, which is possible with HCM user. Only this is the point we have to understand with respect to our finance and procurement and HCM in those areas. Okay, how the behavior, that's slightly different with respect to their business process, but respect to our finance related process or configuration, only the difference is if you have a HCM user including supplier side, you can work on everything. But if you have a user called as IDM, you are not allowed, the IDM user is not allowed to create the suppliers. The reason behind it is in every organization the supplier definition should be done by the actual company resource, the employees only. The functionality not available for IDM user. Any questions on these points, please?
So Lakshman, when you, let's say you're creating an expense, a travel expense, if you're not a employee user,
you should
if
be
you're
employee
implementation
user.
user.
No, you should be employee user. You never use.
So yeah, that's what I'm saying. So there's one more difference then. I mean, for these cases, just not the site for the suppliers.
Yeah, let me give you one line which gives the complete definition. Wherever employee engagement is mandatory in that process you can handle with only employee user.
Correct. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
So any wherever there's approvals or wherever employee is needed, it has to be the employee user.
Employee user, yes.
Okay.
See, simple point. Implementation user just for the implementation time only. Okay. The consultants basically they'll be using. Okay. The consultants are not going to record business transaction. They are not going to submit any transaction for approvals. Okay. They may not create supplier sites and all. Just for test environment, consultants will be creating. the real uh, time and all users will be doing. That is the reason that's how they given the function. And there is one more point, because I cannot explain that this time, that will give you some confusion. When we are doing the payables related configuration, I'll be adding that point. For now, this simple understanding I'm expecting. You just get that points. That's it. We have some other points also. Buyer relation, that is also there. That will talk on that very detailed level when we reach that concept. Okay,
Lakshman, this is Ramesh.
Ramesh, please.
Lakshman, sometimes what happens, the organization outsources their process over to third party. So do you think we need to carry on the same process for the third party, or do we require any separate responsibility or separate process for the third party?
You mean to say organization will give their application access to third party, right?
Yeah, yes.
When they give access with any reason, yeah, in that case they have to create as the external resource in the system. That's how it works. Again, other point is, if that process really required employee association, you'll be creating as employee user. If the process doesn't require any access of what I can say, the employee related engagements, not that much mandatory for the respective process, you may create as a IDM user also, since they are third parties. That depends.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, thanks. But if some employee is working on the system, you should create the user from HCM only. That's it. Okay. See, it's a very beginning, like implementation time only. This IDM users will be using. Later, just consultants may have access to the system as IDM users, or else there could be some dummy definition for the test and other environments. The production normally will be accessing as IDM users only. If at all you want to test something like supplier side definitions are not happening, some issues and all, in that case we may use some other user login and who is classified as employee in the system point of view, which is created from HCM. Just from that we can try. That's how it works. Anyway, we'll see everything. We'll see everything. This is not beginning and ending for this concept. Just it's introduction. Just before we get into that, I want to give you the information. We have two types. From where we create the basic point, how it makes the difference, financial point of view. That's it. Yeah, please.
What's the point in attaching the employee abstract role to the implementation user?
Yeah, fine. Okay. There are a few points in the approvals process. Okay, approvals process. What happens is, when you are assigning, if you don't, finance point of I'm telling where it will impact. If I don't, I'll create one employee called as Lakshman. When I say employee, I'll create from HCM. I created a user called as Lakshman. In EBS, because there are many points. Once you get into the application, that is a good time to discuss. But anyway, this we can discuss now also, because there is a question from you. So in EBS, I'm the user. Doesn't matter employee association is there or not. I'm the user. I'll go to the payables responsibility. For payables responsibility, if you include, okay, request group, can we go and run any report or request? Yes or no? No, this is my question. Anyone can go and run anyone can, otherwise let me put in simple way. Anyone can access, any user can get access to SRS form or not. I'm talking about reports and requests, just
right.
form.
Yeah, yes.
Yes, right?
Yeah, any user can access, yes.
Any user. It can be, they may have for only simple function, doesn't matter. If they have a request set, accordingly through SRS window, they can get access to that. But by default, any responsibility, every user can have access to SRS window. But Fusion,
correct.
If you assign abstract role called as employee, then only the user can have access to SRS form. Here in Fusion, we don't call as SRS form. The form name they given as, the form name, not the function name they given as scheduled process. That's it. One example I'm giving. That's it. I have user, I given all the privileges, payables, receivables, and all access. But if I want to designate that user as with a role called as abstract role, that user cannot work on submitting the reports and other process. This, I mean, the submitting means there is no access to that form we are giving. That abstract role will give privilege to access that function. That's it.
So if I understood you correctly, Lakshman, you're saying that the implementation user should have the employee role in order for him to access the reports window.
You are right. I'm not specifying employee implementation user. Any user, even you may have employee user. For employee user also you have to assign the role called as abstract role, nothing but employee role.
That happens automatically, right, by the system?
That we have to set up in the system. If you, there is a concept called as a role mapping. If you do that, it will happen automatically. Otherwise, by default, it won't happen. That depends on how you are mapping. See, there is a provision in the system where you can, whenever you create the employee, automatically system auto provisioning we call, that has to be assigned to
auto
user.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. If you set it will work. Otherwise, what should be, how it should be, I'm explaining. Okay. Any user, implementation user or employee user, for any user, if you want to, from any user, if you want to access to that schedule process form where you can go and run the reports or requests, you have to assign the abstract role called as employee. That's it. Fine. Any other questions? Yeah, thanks. Any other questions on this? Fine. Now I will talk on this same. Okay, fine. Now my question is, I just created one user. Okay, in EBS I'm referring. I have one user. I created one user. I have one consultant. I created one user. I want to ask that consultant, just say that consultant has to start with the implementation. What responsibility is required as a mandatory? It's well known for us, but just let me put these questions so that based on that I'll jump into this fusion related. So that's the reason I'm referring that. Otherwise, there is no other intention. So my simple question is, sysadmin, just that one responsibility is enough, right? With that one responsibility, based on the scope of the project, you can create the responsibilities and you can just assign those responsible user and you can set the profile options. You can go and create locations, business groups, primary ledger, and everything you can complete. Just you need access to system administrator responsibility. In the similar way, if you want to start with implementation in the Fusion application, equal to responsibility is what we have in the Fusion. Equal to responsibility, what concept we have?
The role.
Which role? Which role? Which role?
Data role.
Data role.
Exactly, data role we have. See here, I'll take you through this point. Okay, when you say data role, it's a combination of particular application job role plus it can be BU or primary ledger depending on application. Now that means if you take AP responsibility, okay, in EBS there will be menu and you will be having access to payables as well as particular operating unit. But if you take this example in EBS, when you are going to do the implementation, when you take example of system administrator, this is one of the responsible name. Do you assign something to system administrator responsibility? Something like primary ledger or operating unit or something else? Do you assign anything to this responsibility? Yeah, please, this is my question, please.
No, we won't assign.
We don't assign. Reason, we are not going to use system administrator to record the business transactions for specific operating unit or primary ledger. This is just for the purpose of configuration, setups, definition. So that is the reason we are not connecting, we are not mapping this responsibility with any one of the data objects. It can be primary ledger or operating unit as per EBS. So here, let's take simple example. Here, responsible. When you say responsibility, that means I don't use any BU. I'll have just AP job role. Okay, that means when you don't have anything, okay, when you don't have primary ledger or business unit in Fusion, finally that will become what? Data role or job role? Simple, like just let me put like
it is not job role.
See, I have primary ledger, sorry, job role and my BU. This combination, what you call?
Data role.
Data role.
Data role.
Data role you call. Now I'll go and I'll go and remove this BU. Now can you call it as data role?
Will become a job role.
It's job role only. That's it. That means if you are mapping something, primary ledger or BU, to your job role, then that will be called as data role. Otherwise, that will remain as a data role. In EBS, we don't assign anything to system administrator. In the same way, in Fusion, if you don't assign anything to any job role, that will remain as a job role. So in EBS, to start with your implementation, you have to assign the responsibility called as system administrator. In Fusion, if you want to start with your implementation, for Fusion user also you have to give some access to similar to responsibility. Here, when you create the implementation, let me take simple example, implementation user. Say I'll create one implementation user called as ERP tree. Say I created implementation user called as ERP tree. Now I want to allow this implementation user to do the implementation. Means I want to give the privileges to this user to do the complete system configuration. To do complete system configuration. So in that case, in EBS, if you want to give the privileges, simply will assign the system administrator responsibility to user. Equal to that, in the Fusion, what we'll do is, here there is no responsibility concept and all, here roles only. So here you no need to assign the data roles to this ERP tree implementation user. You have to assign the just job roles. Which job roles we have to assign? Job roles means job roles doesn't have access to any data. Those are roles which will have some functions which will allow us to do some setups. Okay, the application, we'll see that. Okay, the system, you can see that. Here I'll say, in EBS, for the user will assign system administrator responsibility. In Fusion, for the user will give the job called as, okay, application implementation consultant. In EBS, what we do? We'll create a user and we'll assign the system administrator responsibility so that that user can start working as a consultant to all the configuration. Similar to that or equal to that, in Fusion we'll create the implementation user and we'll assign the role called as application implementation consultant. This role is not going to connect with the specific BU or primary ledger data. This is just for configuration purpose. And okay, where we create the user.
You also have to.
One second. Let me come to that point. I'll come to each whatever you have to understand, how you have to understand. I'll come to that. I think I got your question. I'll just, if I don't touch that, you can ask me. Okay. So from where we create the user? From IDM. From IDM we'll create the user. Okay, from IDM we'll be creating the user. Say I'll go to the IDM, I'll create the ERP tree as a user, I'll assign the application implementation consultant. Then system will give the access to do all the system configuration. If I want to create the new user from this user, when I log into the instance with this ERP tree, I can, by using this role, I can do all the system configuration. But from this user, system won't give the option to create the new users. If I want to get the privilege to create the new users from this user, I have to assign one more role for this user called as IT security manager. This IT security manager role will give the access to this user to create the new user from this user. If you don't assign IT security manager, system is not going to stop you from the system configuration. It will restrict only user creation from this user, new user creation from this user, which you do from IDM. And when we are working as implementation consultant, definitely you have to submit some request, right? Based on the process or based on the activity or based on the testing, what you do, you have to submit. For sure, you have to assign one more role called as abstract role, nothing but employee role. So if you create any user by using IDM as a mandatory, just assign minimum these 3 roles, then you can start working on the system. Any questions you can ask me now.
Is there any other role that gets assigned when you create the implementation user by default?
No, there won't be any role. There will be default system will take as all users that you don't need to consider. That is no relevant. It's as a process they're defaulting. That's it. No other user.
Okay, that's what I was asking.
No other role is required. Yep.
So what is the all users for?
Nothing. We don't need to understand it. This is also one of the user. That's how system they have to make them to understand. That is the reason just they.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
That is just for system identification purpose. System has to identify logically as that is a user and all. That's the reason they just give it.
Lakshman, this is Ramesh.
Yeah, please.
Lakshman, sorry there's some issue with the internet at my side. So can you just refresh the entire the last stop starting from?
No. I'll be sharing this video. I'll be sharing this video. You can go through it. If you have any questions, we can discuss in the next class, or you can give me a call directly. I'll be available for that. Yeah, I'll be sharing this video. Hope this is fine for you, right?
Yes, I can manage.
Yeah, please. Thank you. Any other questions?
So Lakshman, is there any other reason to have the IT security manager role other than creating user?
There are some other, just because see, in this stage, if I'm going to give you everything, it's maybe more information for few people, maybe good, for few people, maybe very bad. That is the reason I'm not trying to give you everything here. I'll give you, since you are asking the question, I'll give you one more point. If you want to create the custom roles by using the security console, if you assign IT security manager to this user, then only from that user you will be able to have access to security console. Otherwise, you won't find any access to security console from this user. The security console privileges also will be getting through IT security manager user only. That is another point. See, my plan is wherever it will reflect accordingly, we'll discuss and we'll touch base. That is the plan. That's the reason I'm not including everything, which are really not required in this stage. Okay, no issues. You can ask me if you have any questions. We can discuss. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, I don't see any questions. If you don't have any questions, we can wind up the session for today. So
Lakshman, are you going to send this Excel file?
No. We used to do that. We stopped. We found some. We got some experience and we stopped.
Okay, no problem.
Yep.
Oh, Lakshman, this is Ramesh.
Please. No, say one point. I'm not referring you. The point here is, if anybody have any question, you can ask me straight away. No introduction. No introduction is required. Your name, or you don't need to say I have one question or something else. Straight away you can ask me. Just if somebody is not speaking, straight away you can unmute and you can ask me the question. That's how we can go ahead. Please.
Okay. No. I don't have any question related to this topic. Is it possible? Can I speak to your client after this call?
Yeah, you can call me. You can call me and my number. You can call on the team number. I mean, you know, I think you have team contact numbers, right? You can call on that. You can call me maybe after 5 minutes after closing this session. By taking 5 minutes break, you can call me. I'll be available.
On the same number, right?
Yeah, same number. On what number you are in touch with our guys, you can call on the same number.
The last four, I have the number which having the last four is 40.
Yeah, the whatever on which number you are in touch with them, you can call on the same. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks, Ramesh. Any other questions?
I have I'm sorry. Go ahead. So this question is regarding yesterday's class.
Okay, please.
If a company is using R12 EBS 12.1.3, for example.
Okay, 12.1.3.
Now they want to move to Fusion.
So
what is going to happen to all the custom functionality that they have on 12.1.3?
To answer that, I mean, the first point here is there is no such kind of solution from Oracle. No one can move from EBS to Fusion as of now. Solution is not there. If they want to move to Fusion, again they have to do as a fresh implementation here. Anyway, the almost solution will be available in the EBS. The same they have to replicate by doing the fresh configuration and all. There is no the migration, what you can say, upgrade possible as of now from Oracle. I think they are working on that because we got a middleware here, right? We got a middleware, so that is the reason that option is not available.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Any other question?
Coming back down to the user.
Okay.
Just to equate to eBiz, can we say application implementation consultant is the super user for all the modules, and the IT security is the sysadmin equivalent?
No. IT security will give some additional privileges, more related to some admin related privileges, and that's what. Generally, who can create the users? Admin can create. Who can have access to some custom related objects definition? Admin. That's what. Just simple point you take as a IT security manager will give some additional privileges to create some custom roles. Okay, through security console. Without IT security manager, you can create the custom role. For that process is there, but through security console, the process is very easy. Where you can open one role, you can see very detailed level what privileges we have within that. So that's how it works.
Okay, and the application implementation consultant, for example, on a super user in GL.
No. One second. Not super user. This application implementation consultant is equal to system administrator. You can take in that way with all the privileges for any application. But in case of EBS, we'll go and create the responsibility by using the menus. Then we can access. But here you don't need to create. Everything is predefined environment. Once we get into the system, maybe it will be more clear on that. So we have to wait for some time. That's it. Maybe tomorrow session, not day after tomorrow session. You can see that what exactly application implementation will get access. There's a complete configuration environment access will be given to the user who has a role called as application implementation consultant. Okay, the concept point of view called as functional setup manager, FSM access.
Okay.
Yep, thanks.
Lakshman, is there any way to restrict a particular implementation user to only setups belonging to a particular offering?
No. So that's not possible. Just only the thing is, just you can do the mapping. You can specify which user has to work on which configuration. You can do that mapping. You can assign that work to that user that can be tracked in the system. That's how we have. But you cannot restrict only this has to be done by this. Just you can specify. You can do the for status tracking and all. You can do the mapping.
Thank you.
That control we don't have. Because see, it's a simple. The reason why Oracle is not giving. So if you take example of EBS, so every user like the SCM consultant can have access to. Based on the roles assignments, responsibility assignment, they can assign finance related roles, finance related responsibilities, and finance guys can assign SCM related responsibilities to the finance user. But ultimately, we won't have a interest of disturbing and doing the setups which are not related to us. Okay, that is a point why the controls won't work. Here, everything works based on the concept called as a project. Before you start with the system configuration, you have to create the project. In the project environment only, you can assign which work need to be done by which consultant, and you can set the due dates also for that work. And once the consultant start working on that, they can update the status, whether that is the work is in incomplete status or work in progress or work is completed. Everything can be updatable. That's how project level we can track how much percentage of work is completed, all the information. This is what possible in the Fusion. But it's not like to set a control just to keep the information for tracking. That's all. Not for controlling purpose. That's a simple point. Not for controlling purpose. Primarily, this is for tracking purpose. we'll see that. We'll see. You can post many questions on this once we are in the relevant concept and you're working on the system. Then definitely I'll be explaining more and more, because now we are not on the application, right? Just theoretically we are trying to understand the basic points before we get into the actual concept which we can handle in the system. So definitely we'll have a good discussion on this if required.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks. Any other questions? Okay, fine. Seems to no questions. Okay, we can just wind up the session for today. And thanks for joining today's session. Yeah, please, Arun.
Lakshman, tomorrow's session, you'll use the same link?
Same link, not different link. I'll be sending every day. I'll be
Okay.
sending every day.
Okay. You're going to send a different link every day.
Yeah, different link.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Thanks. And from tomorrow, we'll be just sending the link for the guys who will be completing the formalities before tomorrow's session. Okay. So if you are interested, if you want to continue in this batch, you may keep in touch with our guys with whom you are interacting. Okay. So that's how it works. Okay. We'll be sending the link for tomorrow's session only for the guys who are going to complete their payment process. Okay, that's how it works. Okay, tomorrow we'll start at almost the same time. Like, if you don't receive the link, see, we are planning sharp 7, but these are very initial sessions. We may wait for some other participants to join. Because of that, there may be some delay. Of course, before also we can send a link. But if there is some delay, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, or 5 minutes, you don't need to worry about it. You'll be getting the link for sure. Just my request is just wait for few minutes. If there is no class, anyway, definitely there will be prior information to you. We don't want to waste your time and your plans, your schedules. Okay, so definitely we'll inform you. We'll respect that. Fine. If you are not receiving the link on time, you don't need to worry about it. Just wait for 5 to, if required, max 10 minutes also. But for sure, you'll be getting the link. That's our request and note. Okay, seems to no questions.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, fine, we can wind up the session for today, and I'll be available in this meeting for 5 more minutes. If any further questions, you can ask me. But just that's all for today. See you tomorrow session.
Lakshman, the recording of this session, you are going to post it in some place.
Yeah. See, what I'll do is initial these 2 sessions. Today's session also I'll be uploading in the YouTube. The same link I'll be sharing with all the guys who are attending today. Okay, from today's session, from tomorrow's session, anyway, we will be allowing the paid participants. And from tomorrow, I'll be sharing that. I'm not going to share the link from tomorrow. Directly video I'll be sharing from the first session, yesterday and today. And tomorrow, whatever the session will be recording, the 3 videos I'll be placing in the Google Drive. The folder I'll be sharing with you, so that from there you can import or you can just play online. Anything you can do. Any question? Okay. Again, one request. No. 1 second. Yeah, I'll take definitely. One request is really, if you are. Anyway, tomorrow we are going to filter. No issues. Fine. Yeah, fine. Please.
So Lakshman, is there a plan to provide any exercises for this
components
in the class? For the students to do.
No. See, in the class itself, we'll be doing all the exercises. If you take payables, the invoice, different type of invoice creation, relevant setups, different type of payments, everything we are going to cover. It is going to be around 70 hours. So you can assume so how it is going to be.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do everything in the classes. The same you can do from your end. That is a good exercise.
Okay.
Yep. So any other questions? Okay, I'll be in the call for 5 more minutes. Meantime, if you have any questions, you can ask, or else you may leave from the meeting. Okay, thanks for joining today's session. Have a good day and good night.
Lakshman,
Yeah.
As you are going to work on the application in the next sessions, can we work on the application in parallel to do the setups and the testing?
Exactly.
Or
yeah, tell me. Please go on. Just please go on.
So we need to have the application up at the same time.
Yeah. What we'll do is just see. Initially, we'll be understanding what we should understand before we get into that application. Once we are clear on that, then we'll start discussing. See, now we discussed about what is the meaning of user, from where we can create, what roles need to be assigned. May not be in tomorrow's session. The later we have few more points to discuss in the tomorrow session. Tomorrow also it would be more theoretical understanding. Maybe from fourth session I'll be starting how to create the user. I'll show you in the system. Okay, when I'm going to create also how I'm going to create the user, what are the steps are involved, what is the, those I'll just list out in the same way in the spreadsheet or notepad. So the same will be doing in the system. That's how we are going to do. Yep. Fine.
Lakshman.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to touch base about the discussion yesterday we had about this.
I just want to understand. I want to know your name. I can see you joined as attendee. Your display name is attendee. What's your good name?
Yeah, this is Avinash Lakshman.
Avinash. Okay. Fine, Avinash. Tell me.
Yeah, I think it got flipped to the default, so that's why it became an attendee.
Okay. No issues.
Yeah. Because this GoToMeeting is not letting it set it up. So
no. You can do that. You can do that on the top bar where you see, like, if you click on the drop down option, there it will be showing display name.
Okay. Correct. I did there, and again it flipped back. It kept it for the entire.
Okay.
Again it flipped back.
Yeah. No issues. Okay, let's ignore this. No problem. Yeah. Please.
Sorry about it. Yeah. So we are. I wanted to ask this very peculiar question about the offering from Oracle, right? So this SaaS offering, what we had, we have financials as a SaaS offering. What
for everything we have,
right? And then we also purchased the manufacturing cloud as a SaaS offering.
Manufacturing.
Now there is, right? So there is some functionality which is not present in manufacturing. So we are planning to buy PaaS in order to do some customizations.
Okay.
So in that situation,
what you can do is see
that
then in that case you can take that, they'll convert your subscription to PaaS. Anyway, whatever you have in your SaaS, that will move to PaaS, and you'll get an environment of doing the customizations if required for finance, otherwise at least for your manufacturing. That's all. That's how it works.
So if I keep finance in the SaaS mode and then I only
that's what in the last session also we discussed on the same point. Okay.
I'm still not.
It's a very clear point. In that case, we have to go with the two separate subscriptions, and again the connectivity you cannot build. Think most of the customers won't look for that. If SaaS, otherwise PaaS. There is no great advantage. There is no great advantage by keeping just manufacturing on PaaS. Okay, when we are taking the PaaS, we can go with the SaaS also. Keep in two in the same environment. That works. That's simulate and work.
But do they convert it automatically when we purchase the PaaS tools, or do we have to do some other?
No, simple. They'll do that. They'll just add that provision. That's all. They'll be getting some additional admin related access where the application development related privileges will be getting. That you call as a PaaS. It's nothing is going to be changed. By seeing from front end, you can understand that it's as a PaaS.
Right. So but does it impact the upgrade process if I'm on PaaS then?
Which upgrade process?
The Oracle's upgrade process. If they go from R12 to
R12. Simple. You are going to move from SaaS to PaaS. And anyway, you cannot enjoy that auto upgrade what Oracle offer for free. You are going to be in the PaaS, right? PaaS.
So how do I?
PaaS, in that case, that is a separate upgrade need to be done. Auto upgrade is not possible. In future, like if you need upgrade, you can contact Oracle. They can do behalf of you. There could be some additional charges.
Okay, got it. So that auto upgrade will be lost if I move to a PaaS platform.
For sure, because they cannot take care of all your customization. That will become one project for Oracle also. If they are going to.
So
yep.
And at the same time, it is very difficult to keep financial application in SaaS mode and then manufacturing in PaaS mode. Even that should not.
Exactly. The importance for your company's manufacturing. Definitely, it's always best option to move to PaaS only. If the importance is less for manufacturing, anyway, they can go ahead with that. The priority importance is for finance. Better keep in the right place finance. So then they may not go with the PaaS. That's how it should work.
So can I tell the finance guys that you also have to come in PaaS mode just because I'm moving?
Simple point. You don't need to go and talk to this finance resource and all. It's all about client decision. The consulting company will be there for consulting purpose. They'll be giving suggestion. They'll be telling. So this is we'll evaluate all the requirements and all. We'll take the decision which is possible, which is not possible, right? In that case, as per your business requirement, if you have only for financials, yes, we can go with the PaaS. But when you look at manufacturing and all, there are some gaps when you compare with whatever available from Oracle. So since this is important, these gaps need to be filled only through customizations. There is no scope if you go with SaaS. So better option for us is PaaS. Now, it's not a good practice to maintaining a finance in one model and manufacturing the different model. Both should be in one. That client has to take decision. When you say this, again, client may come up with the concern. Okay, that's fine, but Oracle is saying auto upgrade and all that we cannot enjoy. Our primary business is finance, manufacturing, very less. In that case, we may go with the SaaS only. You may ignore that customization. You may go with workaround, or you may convince the client if possible. Okay, in the upcoming releases, Oracle may release. Oracle may come up with a new functionality that will cater what are the gaps we are finding now. So this is how you can convince, or else if the importance to manufacturing, definitely then they can move to the PaaS, and they may think, okay, no issues, on release 12 version the people who are using how they were working on that, they're going with their own upgrades and all. Let's go with that practice instead of missing some very important functionalities which should be part of manufacturing. That's how it's all about. We have to put on the table and we have to discuss, we have to finalize. It's not like we'll go and speak to the finance guys and to move. It's not finance guy decision. It's a project level, the client decision. We have to tell them what is good for them. If they go with the PaaS, how it works. If they go with the SaaS, how it works. And you have to consider these 2 points which is important for them and all. After sitting and having a meaningful discussion, then management, I mean to say, the client has to take the decision. However we move, accordingly people will start working. We don't need to take the approvals something from the finance team. The generic meeting, is definitely finance guys also will involve if this is the case. That's all.
Obviously, there is no point in keeping one in SaaS model and one in PaaS model.
No,
absolutely not that.
Yes, not yes, correct.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. I think I'm good.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, fine. I'm going to end this meeting for today. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, thank you so much.